So why does it seem so hard to learn how to improvise really well and play those perfect solos with no preparation? Well, because we're told that it's easy. We're told, which I was, that you have all these skills. You learn the picking, the scales, the phrasing techniques, the licks, and then the improvisational skill will follow naturally, that somehow you just play around with it. And, I've been using the language analogy quite a lot when it comes to improvising, but that's only to prove that you already have the skill inside of you. You just need to take that skill and make it something that you can do on this instrument instead of with your mouth when you're speaking. But what we should not lead ourselves to believe is that because it's so easy to speak and we master it at the highest level, that it's then easy to learn how to improvise. That's a huge mistake. And it leads to frustration and hopelessness and giving up because we can't, for the life of us, figure out why we haven't learned it already. Since we've been practicing all the sub-skills of improvising, which is techniques and scales and arpeggios and all of that. If we've been practicing that a lot, for years, and we still can't improvise, right? It makes us think that there's something wrong with us. So we shouldn't go around saying that it's easy. Well, it is, but if you take one step at a time, it's super easy, right? But it's like talking again. But that's not easy, right? Because how much are you practicing that? How much have you been practicing that? Well, millions of hours, right? And I'm not saying you have to practice improvising for millions of hours. You can learn to do that pretty rapidly if you do one specific thing. And that's what this video is about. I'm going to give you that specific thing. But so once we learn how to put letters together or words, we try to make our mouth, really say these sounds when we're very small human beings. And then gradually we learn how to formulate the sounds of the words and the letters, right? And then we put words together. But the reason why it seems easy for us now is because we used to do it all of the time, right? We used to have these kids, right? If you have kids, they have this period of time where they point to everything. Like, what's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? It just takes over. They want to know what things are so they can communicate. It's an urge we have, right? So we're very passionate. Most kids are very passionate about it. And so we do that all the time, over and over again. And as we learn what things are, we start putting words together into meaning, not just, half an hour a day or 2 hours a day or even 6 hours a day, but all of the time, even when we're dreaming, right? We do it in here when we're not using our mouth, and we do that daily over and over and over and over and over again. That's how we become so good at it. But to say that that is easy, well, it is intuitive, that's right. But easy means that it's something, okay, now you have the words, now you have the letters, now you have the sounds that you can say with your mouth. Now you go ahead and speak, that's easy, right? That's really to conceive of what this really is about. Because what we need to do, and here's the point, that the reason why improvising seems so hard is because you have to master everything that the brain can come up with, right? You have to actually, when the music is playing in the background, and here we go, right? And you're about to play something, well, that idea that your brain conceives of, you have to master that in the physical practicalities of actually playing that. How crazy is that, right? We can practice the solo beforehand. We can come up with a solo, right? Piece it together of licks and techniques, and then we can practice that over and over again. And then in the playing situation, we actually, to a certain degree, master what it is that we want to play because it's pre-composed. But when you're improvising, you actually have to be able to play whatever you can come up with. That seems totally impossible, and it is. Because that would mean that I can play everything I ever heard, right? I hear this jazz record played by a jazz pianist, and then once I'm improvising over a track that looks a little bit like it or sounds a little bit like it, my mind might come up with phrases that he's been playing. I can't play those like this, right? And that's another misunderstanding. We don't play what's in our head. No. We become one with the instrument, and so we can play what we hear inside our minds, what we can play on the instrument, and what we can play on the instrument is what we hear inside our minds. It's a circle. It's not like we walk around and then we can then learn the skill to play everything that's in our mind. See, what you really should be doing is that you should learn to sing whatever it is that you're playing. If you can do that, then you can sing with your instrument, right? You can go, right? And so on. And you can move it. Right? You can move on from there. But that is really what it's, but that is a collective thing. That is like your mind and your instrument and your fingers are all one, right? When I improvise, I don't get ideas outside of what I master. So it's a room. It's not like, right? It's not like, yeah, I can play anything, right? I can play anything I can hear in my head. That doesn't exist. It really doesn't, because, it's just too big, right? But what I hear in my head is what I can play. So it's like a room you go into, and that room consists of the things you hear in your head and are able to play. And that's the room you need to build for yourself. And the amount of things that are in that room of improvisation, meaning phrasing techniques, notes that you know how you sound before you play them, that whole room there is what you're building when you're building your improvisational skills. This is a key secret. Once you know that, then you can really start building the ability to improvise, right? So if I can put on a track, like just a loop here, right? And I have if I have say 2 notes from my first position minor pentatonic. I don't care about your tools, doesn't matter, right? But let's say I have these 2 notes. Or let's do the old thing I always do. Let's take the 2 middle strings in the 5th and 7th fret in the key of A, right? This is a chord progression in C major, but that scale will work, right? So I only have the 7th and the 5th fret on both the D and the G string. And I can predict how those notes will sound. This is a microcosmos. Let's imagine that is my room. That is the tiny room I'm in. I only have these 4 notes and a certain amount of very basic rhythms. But I can learn to master that. And then I can have my brain walk these notes and have fun with that tool, right? So that's what I'm going to do now. Oh, that was an extra note there, right? But so if I can master that, if I can focus on that area or just that little tool there, which is basically, some basic rhythms like ba da da da. That's the subdivisions I use here. Ba 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 da da ba, right? And I can master those 4 notes and really grind those and go into my room every day and have fun using those, then I can also expand them. And once I expand them, I can then expand them with other things. That's what when you see me improvising, the thing you just heard in the beginning of this video and by the end of this video is completely intuitive. Nothing is pre-programmed other than everything I play, I master. It's in my room of options I have for the next step I can take melodically. So once you know this, you can really start saying, every time I practice improvisation, and only improvisation, what I really do is I connect my mind to my instrument, I connect my fingers to my head, and I build that room gradually with stuff, with tools, with notes, with licks, with sequences, with whatever, right? That I can then start improvising with. Those are my building blocks. Instead of looking at improvisation like, hey man, I have all of music, all options in the entire world that I can hear in my head, and that's a lot. I must be able to play on this instrument. That's why we get stuck. That's why we never learn to improvise. I hope this makes sense. In this course, I have taken, after 40 years of experience, the 1 or 2 exercises per technique, which is sweep picking, legato, alternate picking, economy picking, or directional picking, that will mean more to your development than any other single thing that you can do. So you got I haven't learned to sing, but it's like instead of playing, I'm singing, right? But I could just right. Right? All of that goes on in here and here at the same time. It's not detached. These are not licks, right? So that's what we want to get to, and we can practice that like a core skill. And you can start today by going into that room and saying, what can I do? What can I really do? And what can I develop from the inside out? See you in the next video.